Hello and welcome to this, the seventh and final One World event of this online series. So I'm Zar Sturgis, I'm the director of the Ashmolean and Museum, and I would like to really give a huge thank you to the One World Committee and a group of community partners who work with the Ashmolean team to plan and deliver this extraordinary festival and provide invaluable support, advice and inspiration. Now, many of you will have joined us before and will know that One World is a celebration of the many faiths and many communities of Oxford. And usually, of course, it's a 2-day festival in November held in the museum. But of course, thanks to the current situation, we transformed this event into a virtual series of events that have taken place since November and have already included over 40 individual films made by contributors who have each generously shared their knowledge, their skill, their creativity, their cultures, and their faiths through many talks and crafts and storytelling and music and dance. And indeed, so far, these events have been seen by over 3,400 people through the Ashmolean website, through YouTube channel, and we hope, of course, that they will continue to attract many views. We chose as the theme for this series the theme of light and darkness, both because it celebrates and represents the idea of hope through dark and difficult times, which seemed entirely appropriate for this particular moment. And so now I'm very pleased to introduce, sharing the screen with me, Imam Monawar Hussain, who you will see is now labelled on his screen the High Sheriff of Oxfordshire. So huge congratulations to Monawar for this new role. He's also the founder of the Oxford Foundation and is also chair of the One World Committee. And so now I would like to hand over to Monawar, who's going to be talking about celebrating Oxford superheroes and the importance of celebrating the different faiths and cultures of our city. So over to you, Monawar.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Zar, for that lovely and very kind introduction. And thank you also, actually, Zar, to you for your leadership and to the team at the Ashmolean Museum who've made the One World Festival possible for this very difficult and challenging year. So having to do it virtually, it's been tough, it's been hard, but I'm so grateful to the whole team and also the planning team, the planning committee who are represented, as you rightly said, of many different communities. And I want to really acknowledge the contribution, the energy and the passion and the love that all of the teams, the team from the Ashmolean, but also the planning committee have put together into this. And I think it's a great testament that we've had over 3,000 people viewing this. And I'm sure the audience is global, not just Oxfordshire through this virtual system, but also it's having a real impact. It's really having an impact in sharing the diversity, the richness of cultures in our county, and the wonderful relationships that people have between each other. And the whole process about setting up the One World Festival has enabled people to get to know each other who would otherwise have not known each other. So having leaders from different communities actually working together on the One World Festival, one of the outcomes has been strong relationships, which is a key to developing and having a real cohesive community and society. I want to say a few words about the Oxford Foundation, but before I do, I want to say a few words about my role as the High Sheriff. Of course, I'm delighted that I've been appointed by Her Majesty the Queen, the High Sheriff of Oxfordshire. It's an immense honour for me personally, and for a whole year, what I've decided to do is to dedicate my year to celebrating Oxfordshire's heroes. These are individuals, voluntary groups, businesses who've made significant contributions to the county of Oxfordshire, to their local communities. And so my year will be about going around the county, I hope, sort of rules permitting, if not, then doing this virtually, but just celebrating our heroes across the county. And my inspiration really has been my first-hand work in the NHS as a chaplain, colleagues in the NHS working so hard, supporting families in very difficult circumstances. The inspiration also of neighbours reaching out to each other, looking out for the needy and the vulnerable, has been hugely inspirational. And this group of volunteers emerging to help and support our communities throughout the county and, of course, the nation. So that's also been an inspiration. And also, I think we've had a real flowering of voluntary groups across our county. So that's the inspiration. It's that altruistic sense of kindness and compassion and love that people have put into serving their local communities. And I want to celebrate that in my year. And I want your help, people who are watching, listening to this, anyone and everyone in the county. If you know someone who's an individual or a voluntary group or a business who've made an exceptional contribution to their county, then please search out the High Sheriff of Oxfordshire. There's a webpage on the County Council website, and there's an online form that you can fill in to nominate your hero in the county. So that's my theme for the year, celebrating Oxfordshire's heroes, and I really want to galvanise the whole county and everyone getting involved with that. The second really was to share some thoughts about my own personal story in terms of the Oxford Foundation. My inspiration really for that was my mother. Prior to that, I had a very successful business background, but sadly one day had an awful phone call that she'd been taken ill. She was unwell for a little while, then she passed away. And her name translated means spirit of peace. So she was someone who was very compassionate and kind. And I thought, can I put the same amount of energy that I put into building my own business into setting up the Oxford Foundation so that it can serve our local communities, to build bridges, to build understanding, to build peace and love. And so that's been real, the inspiration. And how do we do that? How do we create understanding between communities? How do we create friendships and love and compassion and a real sense of cohesiveness between communities? And so one of the things that I thought we should do is create shared spaces. And that's where I think I'm so grateful to the Ashmolean Museum, to Zara's leadership and the whole team, to open up the Ashmolean Museum to all our communities, to have a shared space where individual groups can come together and to share something of their own culture or faith with the wider community. And the other thing that's associated with this, that is really important for me personally, is a sense of integrity. So that we as a planning committee, we don't say to communities what they need to be doing. We say, look, come, share some of the beauty that's inherent within your culture, within your communities, with the wider community. So they come, they share their love, they share their music, their dance, their poetry, their literature, a whole aspect of that culture and tradition with the wider community. And that's what makes one world. That's what makes strong relationships between people. And that's what makes a really good and strong sense of community.